Good evening, friends, fiends, and night owl supremes. Welcome to A Bit Late. Got too much buzzing in your skull to sleep, or to think, or to, just relax? Well, I have a story tonight that may help with that. It's The Queen Bee, collected by the Brothers Grimm. It is short and sweet, and full of kindness. So, it's kind of a win-win-win. Also, there's a princess, and the usual. But bees are good. We need bees in the world, so that's kind of why I picked this story. So gather around you some tea and maybe put some honey in it. That may come in handy for later, but also it's in theme with the bees. Get some beeswax candles if that's your thing. Settle around you with your familiars, blankets, pillows, everything you need to have a comfortable time with a short, sweet story. All right, let's get into it, shall we? The Queen Bee. 2 king's sons went out in search of adventures, as you do, and it's always interesting that they call them king's sons and not princes. Anyway, these 2 king's sons in search of adventures fell into a wild, disorderly way of living so that they never came home again. That would be pretty disorderly. The youngest, who was called Simpleton. Oh, what is it with these stories naming probably the kindest-hearted people, the weirdest names? I think we had Dunderhead before in The Golden Goose. Anyway, the youngest, who was called Simpleton, set out to seek his brothers. So he's not called a king's son, just Simpleton. Oh, Simpleton. Oh, come on. When at length he found them, they mocked him for thinking that with his simplicity he could get through the world when they too could not make their way and yet were so much cleverer. Ego much, bros? They all 3 traveled away together and came to an anthill. The 2 elder wanted to destroy it, to see the little ants creeping about in their terror, carrying their eggs away. Ah, awful, terrible, terrible. But Simpleton said, "Leave the creatures in peace. I will not allow you to disturb them." Good for you. Then they went farther and came to a lake on which a great number of ducks were swimming. The 2 brothers wanted to catch a couple and roast them, but Simpleton would not permit it and said, "Leave the creatures in peace. I will not suffer you to kill them." At length they came to a bee's nest in which there was so much honey that it ran out the trunk of the tree where it was. The 2 wanted to make a fire under the tree and suffocate the bees in order to take away the honey? Oh my god. But Simpleton again stopped them and said, "Leave the creatures in peace. I will not allow you to burn them." Good on you. At last the 2 brothers arrived at a castle where stone horses were standing in the stables, and no human being was to be seen. They went through the halls until they came to a door in which there were 3 locks. In the middle of the door there was a little pane through which they could see into the room. I was worried what they were going to do when they got to a castle of stone things. So far they are terrible, malicious people, and shudder. Anyway, little door, little window pane. There they saw a little gray man sitting at a table. They called to him once, twice, but he did not hear. Then they called for him a 3rd time. When he got up, opened the locks, and came out. He said nothing but led them to a handsomely spread table, and when they had eaten and drunk, he took each of them to a bedroom. Next morning, the little gray man came to the eldest, beckoned him, and conducted him to a stone table on which were inscribed 3 tasks, by the doing of which the castle could be delivered. The first was that in the forest, beneath the moss, lay the princess's pearls, 1,000 in number, which must be picked up. And if by sunset 1 single pearl was wanting, he who had looked for them would be turned to stone. Haha, yes, the fairy tale impossible task. Also, did the horses look for them? Is that why they're stone too? Or that was just like the settling of the curse on the castle? It's kind of like Sleeping Beauty, but not like Sleeping Beauty. Anyway, the eldest went thither and sought the whole day, but when it came to an end, he had found only 100, and what was written on the table came to pass. He was changed into stone. Next day, the 2nd brother undertook the adventure. It did not, however, fare much better with him than with the eldest. He did not find more than 200 pearls and was changed to stone. At last the turn came to Simpleton, who sought in the moss. But it was so hard to find the pearls, and he got on so slowly that he seated himself on a stone and wept. Oh, I love this show of emotion. When you're frustrated, you just gotta get it out. And while he was thus sitting, the king of the ants, whose life he had saved, came with 5,000 ants. And before long, the little creatures had got all the pearls together and laid them in a heap. Ooh, this fairy tale is like a mix of The White Snake and other fairy tales. I like it. Ash Maiden, maybe? The second task was to fetch out of the lake the key of the king's daughter's bedchamber. Oh my! When Simpleton came to the lake, the ducks which he had saved swam up to him, dived down, and brought the key out of the water. Hooray! But the third task was the most difficult. From amongst the 3 sleeping daughters of the king, the youngest and dearest was to be sought out. Of course. Of course. They resembled each other exactly. Then why was she sought out? And were only to be distinguished by their having eaten different sweetmeats before they fell asleep. The eldest a bit of sugar, the second a little syrup, and the youngest a spoonful of honey. Were they awake the whole time and they just went to bed, or did they eat these things years ago or whenever the curse was laid? Because this is important. Also, I'm happy it's him in the room with the girls that are sleeping, because I do not like the other guys, like at all. Yeesh. Then the queen of the bees, which Simpleton had protected from the fire, came and tasted the lips of all 3. At last she remained sitting on the mouth which had eaten honey, and thus the king's son recognized the right princess. Oh good. Also, interesting note, now that he has succeeded in a task, he is now a king's son. He dropped that other name. Well, then the enchantment was at an end. Everything was released from sleep, and those who had been turned to stone received once more their natural forms. Simpleton married the youngest and sweetest princess, and after her father's death became king. Yay, wow. While his 2 brothers married the other 2 sisters. Wow, all matches made in the end. The end of what I'm presuming is a happily ever after. Everybody got matched up, so yay, I guess? But it's always weird when they're like, after her father's death, the new guy became king. That's very common, I'm finding. Very interesting. But that's just me being nerdy about fairy tales right now. I do hope this tale helped you calm down or let you enter the realm of the fairy and expand your imagination in whichever way you need to for whatever you need to do. I am feeling pretty good after reading this one. It was a short and sweet one, and I am mysteriously craving honey and cakes and all the sweet things. And I don't plan on sleeping? No, I do plan on sleeping soon after this, so maybe there'll be a bee on my face when I wake up or something. But anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful evening, are about to have a wonderful sleep, or are doing something awesome with your day and evening and time. Alright, I'll see you soon in the next video. Now off to sleep and dream what you will, or stay a while and enjoy another tale. Whichever you choose, I'll speak to you again, and until then, stay spooky, my friends. Good night. Bzz.